Well, a stunning new report shedding light on the growing retirement crisis in America. Get this, it's a survey that was just released by the Employee Benefit Research Institute, and they've concluded that some 57% of those surveyed have less than $25,000 in savings. These are folks who are going to retire. They have less than 25 grand in the bank, while a record high of 28% have no confidence they will be able to retire at all. How did we get here? Melissa Francis is host of Money with Melissa Francis on the Fox Business Network. Chris Plante is radio host of The Chris Plante Show, and Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. Gosh, you know, you think about this and how scary that must be for the would-be retirees to look at the bank account, see less than $25,000 in there. We're not talking about people who are at the end of life, you know, but they have, according to the actuaries, probably 25 or more years to live. Well, Melissa, what, they're supposed to live on $1,000 a year? I mean, what are they supposed to do?
No, I mean, it is a really scary set of statistics. When you add to that 28% of Americans have dipped into their 401k during this past recession because they didn't have enough money to get by. You add on to that how much home equity value has been lost during this downturn. I mean, for our parents, that was one big way that they always planned on retiring. You saved up for down payment, you bought a house, you lived in it, raised your family there, and then when you wanted to retire, you sold it and you used all that equity that had grown over that time to retire on. Almost all of those things have disappeared at the same time. Pensions have gone away. We don't really live in a pension system any longer. So we have a real crisis coming, and we all know you can't depend on Social Security.
Yeah, and you look at the numbers and you think, all right, so if these people don't have any, you know, significant money in the bank now, where are they going to get it in this job market, Chris? I mean, you know, that we've seen some rebounding, but we still have tens of millions of Americans who are unemployed or underemployed, and it's not exactly like the job spigot has been turned back on full force.
Yeah, I mean, how many starter jobs are there on golf courses across America? It looks like we're all going to have to work forever at this point. Social Security, we know, is a ruse, and you know, honestly, there are a couple of things here that are, or would be, good things. Our longevity is
We're
increasing.
living longer.
So yeah, we're living longer, and interest rates are low. Those on the face of it sound like a couple of pretty good things, but when you combine them in a period of low economic growth and very low interest rates, these retirement funds are predicated on assumptions of healthy growth in the economy and interest rates which accrue money in a safe way into these accounts. And when you do away with the interest income and you do away with the economic growth, you see a deflation of these retirement funds, and they're not worth what you projected they would be worth, so you run out of money 10 years more quickly than you thought you were going to run out of money.
And you're living 20 years longer than you thought you would. I mean, the study, they talked to the actuaries, and they said a man who reaches age 65 this year is now expected to live an additional 20.5 years. And women who turn 65 this year are now expected to live an additional 22.7 years. So, you know, pretty good numbers in terms of your lifespan, Leslie, but they weren't really planning on living that long, and nor were the employers, and nor has the government been planning on seeing people live this long.
No, that's true. And by the way, when I did some research on this, the longer we go into the future, the longer people are going to live. That's what the scientists are saying, the geneticists are saying. I want to know, Megan, why women aren't going to be living as long as men. It used to be the other way around.
Because we're doing this. Because now we're no longer, you know, taking care of the field. We're going out and having all the stress of, you know, this job.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm going to present something, okay? Now, as much as I know my buddy Chris over there would like to blame our president and Democrats, et cetera, for this, we really can't. We have to blame ourselves. I'm guilty of this too, which is we love to live now. We live in the now. And many people don't plan for the future. And Melissa, I'm with all of those seniors. I'm hoping my house will be my retirement and that the market will turn around. But it might not. Yeah. But for those people much closer to retirement, and the fact that we have 10,000 more people a day entering their golden years because of the baby boomers, this was inevitable. But all of you, let's think about this. In other societies, how do they tackle this? And not just with the socialized government system, with extended families, taking care of one
that's
another.
Absolutely
and we don't do that
we're
anymore.
moving in.
But Melissa, what do you make of Leslie's point that there's been a cultural shift? We just live for the here and now. I mean, because we've been talking about this on the show, about how since the beginning of time in America, we've always believed that our children will do better than we will, and we want that. We want the children, we want to hand off a better legacy to them so they can do better than we did. And now there seems to be this shift in the country where we're saying, you need to support me.
Yeah. No, I mean, there has been a huge shift, and I think that it's up to us, because we want to find solutions to this problem, obviously. It's up to us to, number one, talk to our kids about savings. I mean, they have to understand out of the gate that this is something they have to do over their lifetime. And a lot of people say, pay yourself, pay your savings account, pay your 401k first. We have to consume less. I mean, maybe you're not saving for that down payment any longer. Maybe you're a renter. I mean, there are a lot of wonderful homes that are for rent now in this country as a result of everything that's happening in the housing market. When you're looking at your student debt loan and you're looking at what you want to do for college, you have to decide on a practical field and a college that you can afford. I mean, we have to train our kids to not consume and go into debt today, but plan ahead for their futures.
But if they don't listen to Melissa, Chris, because the survey showed 28% of Americans have no confidence they'll have enough dough to retire. I know. Please, I've been telling you, money. 28% of Americans have no confidence they'll have enough dough to retire comfortably. That's the highest in the study's history. So these people don't believe they're ever going to be able to retire. So if they don't actually listen to Melissa because they don't have the money or they just don't have the drive to do it, then they find themselves without money, 65 years old. What happens to them? They look to the government, and does the government have the money?
No, obviously we know that the Social Security Trust Fund is a joke. There's no trust fund there. We know that the demographics are shifting and that we're going to have fewer people in the workplace with lower incomes paying into a system where we're trying to support more and more people who are retired. It is in part the sort of me generation coming of age, the, what about me? I'm going to live in the here and now, forget about tomorrow mentality that is playing into this. But honestly, none of this should come as a surprise. We know that life expectancy has been growing and growing. That's predictable. We know that the baby boom generation is going to reach retirement age with fewer people in the workforce to pay for them. None of this should come as a big surprise. We've seen this train coming for decades now.
I know, but we'd like to put things off. Yeah, we like to. And let me ask you, Leslie, as the wife of a doctor, should people who have so little in their bank accounts just start eating a bunch of pizza and Philly cheesesteaks and say, forget those 22 years. I'd rather eat what I want and live how I want. And if it's a shorter time frame, at least I'll be able to support myself.
You know, my husband constantly gives lectures on prevention. He's an orthopedic surgeon, but he does talk about nutrition, diet, exercise. And honestly, don't get mad at me, guys, but I said, honey, if you talk to them about prevention, you're going to go out of business. He looked at me and he goes, no, because they don't listen. They don't listen. Because they won't listen to what I say.
It's true. Well, we don't. If people listen, there would be no smokers in this country. There'd be nobody abusing alcohol. Go ahead, Melissa.
But Megan, I think it comes back to one thing that we said at the beginning of this discussion, that it's going to fall on the middle generation, whether they like it or not, to support both their children and the older people in their family. There's sort of no way around that. We're also going to be working a lot longer. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. I don't know. I've had a job since I was 6 months old. I mean, I'm expecting to continue to work to the very end. I think there's no way around it.
Do people know that Melissa was a very famous child actress?
I don't know about very famous, Megan. That's generous of you. I've been working for a long time, and I'm going to keep working.
I watch you. She was a star of Little House on the Prairie, so she really was. She was adorable. And had you been my daughter, I would have put you on TV as well. All right, panel. Well, thank you. It's an interesting discussion. We're going to live longer, but we're going to be really poor. So see you there.
But we'll be happy, right?